He's at the heart of the action when it comes to wealth advisories here in Singapore. He's CEO and founder of Provident. You may have heard him on radio, seen him on television, maybe even read some of his books, but how much do you really know about his journey towards money mastery and personal financial wellness? Well, it's going to be a really personal conversation today with the wonderful Christopher Tan. I'm Michelle Martin. Welcome to this special conversation. Christopher, I know you've been doing a lot of these interviews yourself with other people, but the chairs are switched. So why, as CEO, are you so open to sharing your personal life with us here on the topic of money?
I guess I hope that my experience, of course, some of them are good experiences, some of them are bad experiences. Hopefully, they will be able to help people make financial decisions for themselves. Yeah.
All right, let's start at the very basic. Chris, when you think about the concept of money, what comes to mind for you?
I think for a long time, I always believed that, when it comes to money, it has to support life decisions. And what that means is that we should first make life decisions and then let our money decisions support those life decisions. If we do it the other way around, that means to say we first make money decisions and then after that we adjust our life to support these money decisions. I think life can be a disaster. So that's always been my concept, my thinking about money.
So I'm going to push you a little bit and ask, is the concept of money to 53-year-old Chris sitting before me now the same as it was to 17-year-old Chris?
Yeah, very different. Yeah, very, very different. I can't even remember exactly what I did at the age of 17 years old or 17 years old. That sounds like so long ago. But Michelle, when I was 17, I came from a pretty humble family. My father was a bus driver and my mother was a homemaker. We really didn't have a lot of money. Yeah, I remembered that my mother had to go to market maybe at like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning to buy those leftover vegetables because it's always cheaper. I remember that we didn't have money to buy cakes. We have to buy the leftover cakes, big bag, 20 cents. Eating chicken rice is like once in a blue moon affair. We have no chance to even eat proper chicken. I remember that we had to wait until my father comes back late in the night, like 1 a.m. after he sort of like keep the bus in the bus depot just to buy back leftover birds from the restaurants, $1 per bird. So that was the environment I grew up with and not a lot of money. So now 17, there's no such concept of first make life decision, money decision. That's a luxury, honestly, right?
Yeah.
At 17, the thing's about making more money to have a better life. I started working when I was 14, 15 years old.
What did you do?
School holidays, I was at KFC. Back in those days, KFC was still a restaurant. It's not like that, right? They serve with proper plates, glass iced lemon tea,
Wow.
And so I was waitering at KFC. So back in those days, it's not about, what kind of life decision I have to make. It's all about, I just want to make more money so that I can live a better life.
So I want to ask you this, and I didn't know that you didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth. And I think many of our listeners may not know that either. But when you grow up in that environment, and I was reading Robert Kiyosaki, and he said he always wanted to be rich. He had two dads, a rich dad and a poor dad, right? And he always wanted to be rich. So when you grow up without so much, was that your goal initially? Just to be rich?
I can't say that I wanted to be rich at that age, 17. I just wanted more money. It's not about being rich. It's about having more so that, I can eat chicken rice anytime I want. It's simple as that. Right? Because we just didn't have enough. I didn't have the concept, I'm going to be a millionaire or a billionaire.
Right.
That wasn't my thinking. I knew I'm number two in the family, or amongst my siblings, I'm number two. And back in those days, the older siblings, we have the responsibility of taking care of the younger siblings. And so the parents at that time always think about, they were always like, okay, you're the older one, get out to work as soon as possible, earn an income so that your younger siblings can perhaps go to school. So between the four of us, only my two younger sisters, they managed to go full-time study in a local campus. I had to do my degree part-time.
Wow. Wow. So when it came to your early life, Where would you say your earliest money habits came from?
Yeah, I guess it would be in the army. Yeah, I signed on with the army at the age of 19, right after I graduated from officer cadet school. I mean, I didn't sign on day one. I finished my diploma in the poly, then I went to the army, and after I finished my OCS and was posted to unit, and I thought, hey, life in the army is not bad. I mean, I quite enjoyed it, and also they were paying quite well. They were paying like $1,400 as a young second lieutenant.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. As a fresh graduate, diploma graduate, I'll probably only going to be paid like $800. So I thought, okay, not bad. I signed a contract for 6 years, and it's the 6 years is going to include the 2.5 years that you serve in the army. So I served another additional 3.5 years.
Wow.
Not bad, good money, and I can save my money, pay for my own degree. In that period, I really budgeted. I really saved a lot, and it was enough for me to actually pay for my own degree. It was enough for me to actually buy my house, buy my first car, buy my first wife. No, buy my okay, no, that was a joke. Pay for the wedding. Yeah. So I think those were the years I really inculcated good money habit.
Chris, where did you learn about investing from?
No one, actually. Yeah, I really started investing very young age when I was in the army, actually. Yeah, no one actually.
Self-taught?
No, I was buying rubbish. So I didn't learn from anyone. But when I was in the army, and that was the 90s, it was the roaring 90s in the stock market.
Okay.
So everybody was just buying IPOs, in Singapore.
Yep.
Yeah, back in those days, I don't know whether you remember, Michelle, you don't have to be bothered about what companies you buy. You just buy. And the thing is, you can try and put money to try and get 10 lots, but if you can get 3, you're very happy. On the day of listing, sell.
Yep.
Make some money, go for a good meal, start again tomorrow.
Okay.
So I was investing during those periods, but unfortunately, all the IPO stocks that I bought, I lost money. I didn't do any study at all. I was just investing blindly. I bought a country club. It was called Fairway Country Club.
Okay.
It's in the
West. I
West.
remember that.
Yeah, but I didn't do any due diligence. It's been reduced to nothing. And I stay in the East. I don't go there at all. I didn't make use of any of the facilities. So I think that, I learned investing in a very painful way. I'm a graduate in finance. I understand the theory of investing. But I think the practical experience, I really learned through failures.
Wow.
And of course, being in this industry for the last 20 over years, I have also learned through my own experience managing clients' money.
Absolutely, because you have the perspective that allows you to provide the clarity, that empathy, I think, as well.
Yeah.
But take us back to what you just said, which is, you weren't very good at maths. How does someone not so good at maths choose a career in finance?
Financial mathematics is simple math, actually.
Really?
Yes. I mean, for people if you are watching this and you are an engineer, you will know it's a lot more complex. And I mean, for those of us who have gone in, most of us have done our O-levels, and if you remember like A math,
Yep.
integration, differentiation, financial mathematics is nothing like this. It's not complicated at all. So although I'm not very good in math, I definitely can handle financial mathematics. I may not be able to understand it very quickly, but when I understand something, it sticks in my mind. So I think it's fine.
I've also read that you paid your own way through your first degree. Tell us about the sacrifices necessary to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't really suffer very much. I was in the army.
Oh.
Yeah, and
So you had that paycheck coming in?
then in the army, you hardly have the time to spend. I don't have to buy clothes to go to work, and I was with an operational unit. I stay in camp. I eat in camp. Breakfast to supper, everything is provided for. I wear green. I don't have to buy new clothes, right? I could actually really save a lot of money.
Wow.
Yeah, the only sacrifice financially, no sacrifice. I was actually doing quite okay, and I was saving quite a bit. If anything at all, the sacrifice I think would be I don't spend a lot of time with friends.
Right.
And I remember, I did a 3-year degree, and halfway, I was posted to another unit to become a trainer, no longer a platoon commander. And I was bringing troops to the deep jungles of Brunei. And I remember that when I come back from a trip, I had got exams. And I still remember it was cost accounting. My friends in the army will remember me carrying my books in my backpack, climbing the mountains of Brunei. And when the troops are all resting, I put on my candle. I was a trainer, so I was not training troops. Put on my candle and I was doing my accounting questions. That's probably that sacrifice, but financially, I didn't feel it actually. Yeah.
Let's fast forward to you in the insurance industry. You do very well. In 3 years, you're part of the $1 million table.
Round table.
But then you leave.
Yeah.
Very quickly after that. I think it was just after 3 years, you decide, okay, I'm going to exit the industry. Yeah. Why is that?
So, right after I left the army, I was with Johnson & Johnson for a short while. Yeah, because
what were you doing?
I was doing pharmaceutical sales.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that was 1997, and if you remember, it's an Asian financial crisis.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get any jobs actually in the financial sector. Yeah, so I had to I was really married then. I needed to find work. So pharmaceutical, recession-proof. I found work in pharmaceutical, but my interest was really finance. So sometime in 1998, somebody recruited me and said, do you want to do financial planning, personal wealth? I said, yeah, that's what I really want to do. And back in those days, there is no such thing as financial advisory firms and all that. You either join the insurance company, stockbroking firms, or banks. Okay. So I chose the insurance company, and they promised that financial planning is going to be a sunrise industry. You're going to learn lots of things about financial planning. But I didn't actually. I was doing a lot of product selling.
Yep.
So I did very well. First year, I was number 2 rookie agent for the whole company in 98. And then, every year I did 2 times $1 million round table. And it was planned, 2 times. 3 times it's called Call the Table. Yeah, so 1 time $1 million MDRT, 3 times MDRT, they give you a new title called COT, Call the Table.
Okay.
But I just wasn't interested. The plan with my partner then was that we would do 2 times MDRT, and then we will spend the rest of the time studying, going for courses, and all that. So that went on for 3 years, but I wasn't happy. The money was very good. Yeah. By the time I left the insurance company, I was taking home about 200,000 in commissions. I was 31.
Wow.
And that was back in 2001. So 200,000 even today's money is quite good, right?
Yeah.
Back then it was even better. But I was quite unhappy because I wasn't doing what I want. I wasn't doing planning. I was selling products. But the trigger really was when one of my clients, he was a senior gentleman. He really likes me a lot, and he was always very supportive of me whenever I, propose something for him. Mm-hmm. And he always buy it. And then one day when I proposed this particular product to him, he looked at it and he looked at me and said, "Chris, I like you. And whenever you come, I always buy from you." I said, "Yes." He said, "But at some point, I think I should stop buying insurance, right?"
Wow.
Yeah, and actually, that left a very deep impact. I actually felt very, very bad and very guilty because this is one guy who trusted me, supported me, and I'm actually not doing him a favor. He was actually helping me, not the other way around. So that must be late 2000, and I made a decision to quit the insurance company in 2001. Yeah.
So many people read about you as a CEO, who downgraded from a condo, who's fine with living in an HDB flat, right? When you make that decision, what motivates it? The need to get the business off the ground, the need to really tighten your belts before the business becomes a success? Why do you choose that? It's pretty drastic.
I think I made the decision somewhere around maybe 2010, after the GFC. I was about 40 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
GFC was 2008.
Right, yeah.
Right, and the GFC left a very deep impact in my mind as well. In the GFC, I saw a lot of people, they lost money, largely due to their greed. Some people even, they lost their lives. They committed suicide.
Right.
And I was thinking that something must be wrong. That whole idea of what money represents is so wrong. And I remember I was walking outside, specifically McDonald's Tampines interchange, and then suddenly I had this epiphany, that okay, it's going to come to this part of the world. GFC started in the US, but it's going to come to this part of the world, right? And China is going to be the next big thing, right? So, and at that point in my life, I was thinking, what am I doing about this? I have a license, I have the knowledge, I have the experience, I have the clients. Surely I can do something about this. And that really started me thinking about, we need to get people to understand that we must make life decisions first before making financial decisions. We need to look at money as an enabler and not as a goal. Because once we look at money as an enabler, we treat money correctly. Money becomes a servant and no longer a master, right? And with that thinking, then I look at myself, right? I say, okay, so what am I doing with my own money? What kind of life decision am I making? So I started decluttering.
Really? Marie Kondoed everything?
Yeah, so I sold off my condo. I moved back to a HDB flat. To be fair, it's a pretty comfortable executive apartment, bigger than my condo, but half the price. And then I sold away my wife's car. I gave her my car, my family car, so she drives. I take public transport to work. Not easy, because I've been driving for a long time.
You still do?
I still take public transport to work. My wife, now my 2 kids, they share the car. They drive the car most of the time.
Right.
Yeah, so it was just suddenly I felt that I needed to declutter, and I wanted to actually sort of like free up more cash to do it was a life decision to do the more important things in life, like build memories with my children. Yeah, so that was really the thinking
Any
process.
resistance at home
No,
when you made that switch?
she got a car. I'm the one suffering. So no, not okay. My daughter specifically, she missed the condo a bit in the first 6 months after we sold it, but they are very okay now. And my wife has no problems at all. I mean, when I said move, she says, yeah, it's okay. I mean, we're moving to a bigger apartment, more space, nearer to the MRT, easier for my children when they were much younger to get to school.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of Singaporeans, you often hear about the sandwich generation, but it's real. You know, people want to start their own families, but they also really want to take care of their parents who they love dearly.
Yeah.
And they find themselves, either paying for their parents or trying to make a family get started and keep it afloat. So what do you say to adults in that situation who have no money mentor, no good habits to rely on? Where should they start, perhaps?
Well, I mean, I think it's important for us to learn to be prudent. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm a sandwich generation, right? I have my parents to take care of, and I have my children to take care of.
Yeah.
But the very fact that because since young, my parents have been very prudent, and since young, I have been very prudent. And even though I made many lousy investment decisions, the one thing that saved me was I was very prudent. I was like, I budget quite a bit. And because of that, I could still take care of my parents. I could still take care of my children. So for those of us whom, well, of course, if you can find a money mentor, great. If cannot, I mean, nowadays, the internet is full of information for you to learn. But the first thing that I will ask people to learn, it's really about budgeting. But beyond budgeting, it is back to what I've said just now. It's about life decision. And my friend Lu Ching Chuan will say this: I rather be rich than to look rich.
Yes.
What's the point of staying in a big house and driving a big car, and wear expensive watches to show to people that it's as if you are rich, but you're actually not rich, right? So I think you don't need a money mentor to teach you that. It's a life value, right? It's one of your values in life. Be real, be authentic, be prudent, and I think you'll be fine.
Also, many young people worry about the cost of a kid and raising a child, and you have mentioned children, several. Is it 3?
2.
Okay. So did you factor in the maths before you had children?
Never. I don't know, maybe it's our generation thing. We don't think so much.
Money wasn't a consideration.
No, not at all. I mean, we don't like go and calculate how much, and all that.
Yeah.
We wanted to have kids. We have kids. And then with whatever money that we have, we just give them the best. I mean, it's exactly what our parents do for us, right? So it's like, of course, education cost in Singapore is not high. It's actually not expensive. It's actually all the extracurricular activities that are expensive, or the enrichment classes that are expensive, right? If it's just going to school, primary school, it's not expensive at all. So I have to say my children, they didn't get a lot of tuition. We gave them if they want it. If they didn't want it, then it's fine. We didn't send them to a lot of like music classes. My daughter did piano, but at grade 5 when she decided that she doesn't, we say, okay, it's fine, stop. Right? So we were not crazy over spending money on all these things. So I think you don't really have to spend a lot on children if you don't have to do those things that your neighbors do. You just do whatever that you can afford.
So don't let the fear of not having enough and maybe spending $1 million per child put you off. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, I mean, I say this to my wife. I said, both of us, we are not academically smart, and with all the money that we put into their tuition and enrichment, it's not going to make them any smarter. So why don't give them a childhood, right? Unless they are the top 10%, okay, maybe it's worth investing, or they are the bottom 10%, you want to get them out, it's worth investing a lot of money. But they are going to be the average anyway. Let them have a life.
I've never heard of this. Let's give them a childhood. That's so great. As opposed to let's give them the best of everything. Let's give them a childhood.
And the biggest reward we had is that our children told us that, and that's the biggest reward for parents. They told us that when they have their own children, they are going to bring them up exactly the same way we brought them up.
Wow.
No stress. We never stress them over exams.
Wow.
The only thing we told them, just pass. Just move on to the next level, and enjoy what you are doing.
You started Provident at age 31. You sound like you were always a saver in life. Did you have to use your savings? Did you have to dip into your savings to start your business?
100%. Yeah. I mean, the story is that when I started Provident in 2001, officially we started September 11, 2001, the World Trade Center. And we were stupid and silly and naive and inexperienced because the government said that they are going to put together the Financial Advisors Act, and we believe in our government, right? And so we always trust our government. And so I started a firm with no license, waiting for the act to be put in place and apply for the license. Then when the crisis hit, I think the government decided to shelve the Financial Advisors Act because they had more important things to focus on, which was security. So the act wasn't put in place until 1 over year later. And so for that 1 over year, 1.5 years, 2 years, we had no license, no business, and whatever savings I saved, I threw it onto the business. Yeah,
wow.
100%.
You built a wealth advisory firm that prides itself on giving better investment advice. Where did that paradigm come from, and what are you comparing yourself to then when you say better?
Yeah, so it goes back to the fundamental philosophy again. Right, firstly, make a life decision before making financial decision and before making investment decision. That's very key. And I'll unpack it a little bit to help people understand. From that particular philosophy or that concept comes making money decisions. I always believe that when we make money decisions, the 3 perspectives must be aligned. Firstly, financial, secondly, investment, and thirdly, life perspective. Now let me give an example. So let's say somebody comes and say, look, should I borrow money to invest now that the interest rate is very low? Instead of paying off loans, I should just take maximum loan and then use whatever cash I have to invest. From an investment perspective, the answer is yes, right? Because the interest rates are so low, and it's not difficult to beat a mortgage rate of 1.5%, right? So investment pass. Please maximum leverage, go and invest it. From a financial perspective, you got to ask yourself whether you take that loan, it's going to make you financially unhealthy, right? So let's say it doesn't make you financially unhealthy, so pass. So you should invest, right? But then we've got to look at the life perspective. And the life perspective could be that could be a significant event in your life that made you very uncomfortable with taking a loan. For example, you have seen how debt has broken your family. Parents quarrel over loans and all that, and so you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel rested, you don't feel that peace in your heart when you take a loan. Now, even though financially it makes sense, from an investment perspective it makes sense, it doesn't make sense from that life perspective, and perhaps then you shouldn't. Then you go and pay off that debt instead of investing, because it gives you that peace of mind. And that is looking at money as an enabler. The whole purpose of money is to enable you to have peace, to be happy, right? So if you look at it from that perspective, that influences your investment decision.
So would you say the mindset, the mentality of I need to accumulate so I can retire, you're well past that if you are again thinking about, okay, my purpose, I'm going to revocationalize. Have you already achieved the accumulation bit and that's why you can think about revocationalizing, or is it still ongoing?
Well, honestly, if I want to retire today, I can.
Okay.
It's not because I'm very rich, it's because my expenses are very low.
Instant gratification and what you want for the future, right? You got to be able to put that off in order to save for a future goal. So how do you maintain that balance between that?
It's a good question. I think it all starts with understanding this whole concept of contentment.
Yeah.
And contentment is not a passive acceptance of things, right? To a lot of people, they think that contentment is in our local Singapore language, bo pian, no choice.
Yeah.
Right? They are contented, just be contented. But that's not contentment. Contentment is actually an active pursuit of what is important to me, knowing that I cannot have everything. So we first have to sit down, and I have to sit down and say, what is important for me in this stage of my life, right? And I prioritize all those things that are important right now at this stage of my life, and I allocate financial resources to these things, right? And then whatever that is left over, I invest it for the future. It's an iterative process because after doing that, I have to look at it and say, oh, look, it seems like I'm just putting too much money for the now and lesser for the future, and I may have to cut a bit of the now. But you have to go through this thinking process of what is most important for you now. And for a long time, the most important thing for me today is about building memories with my families and especially my children, because I'm very cognizant of the fact that my kids will grow up, they are not going to want to travel with me, and so I want to build memories and bring them for good holidays. That requires a lot of money, so it goes there.
What will you do to find happiness in retirement, and why have you decided that you are going to base yourself, shall we say, in an offshore island and not Singapore?
Yeah, I had this crazy idea of building a villa in this island, and then cut the villa into two.
Okay.
And one part of the villa, I will house all these people who are discouraged. They can come from Singapore. It's a very nearby island.
Okay.
Okay, and
30 minutes away.
Yeah, or 30 minutes. And they can stay with me for a week, and I'll just spend time with them. But the other side, private, for my family.
Yeah.
And it's for me to do the work there.
Is your wife on board with that?
No.
Split house?
So my wife is not on board. The approval of plan is not passed. So she doesn't approve of the plan because she can't see herself moving to that island. It's still a dream.
Now, in 2021, I know it was a tough year for you and you experienced several personal losses, and you actually experienced a health, shall we say, a wake-up call yourself. As you think of this next season in your life, what do you feel is most urgent to accomplish?
Yeah, I think it's about spending time with people whom are important to me. Yeah, because 2020, I lost my father. He died not due to COVID, but he died due to isolation because of circuit breaker. And within that 2-3 months of being locked up, couldn't go out, he deteriorated and then he passed away. And last year, of course, my father-in-law passed away. So the only so-called matriarch left in my company is actually my mother. And my mother is 82 years old. Her health is not fantastic. I know that I'll probably have just maybe the next 2-3 years, God willing. So I want to spend more time with her as much as possible. Again, think of things to do that will build memories. Because we all die. And what we leave behind is a legacy. We all leave behind legacies. It's just whether it's a positive or a negative legacies. Positive or negative legacy. And legacy is not always just about money. It's about memories. It's about values, right? And so I hope that I will be able to spend time with my mother, the memories. Of course, with my family, my wife and my children. I don't have a lot of them as well. My son is 24. My daughter is 20. For sure, the next 5 years, one of them is going to get married, right? And so they're going to be gone. So I want to spend time with them as well. And of course, my own health. Sometimes I forget I'm 52. Yeah, I think I'm 18.
Yeah, feel it too, right?
You feel it, right? But the minute I start running, I know I'm 52. So I need to actually really take care, be more I've never been very intentional about taking care of my health because I've got good genes. Yeah, but I think this is time whereby I need to watch what I eat.
You do a health check every year?
Every year. Yeah,
Every year.
Every year. And my health check has always been decent, right? Until the last few years, it became worse, and I can see the graph coming down,
Wow.
deteriorated. My
So
cholesterol level
mindful.
was so high. And 2 years ago, the doctor told me my total cholesterol score, and she said, your total cholesterol is like almost full marks, Then I looked at her and I said, wow, in my whole life, I've never gotten full marks. This is the only thing in my life that I'm getting full marks for.
Don't want to be an overachiever when it comes to cholesterol.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah.
Oh dear, but I'm very sorry to hear about your losses. But the reason I bring it up is because I think it's useful for us all to think about mortality. We are all going to die, no matter how rich you are.
Yeah.
But for people who are in the autumn of their lives and they have not made good money decisions so far, what do you say to them?
I would say, we cannot change what happened or the bad decisions that we may have made in the last 20 or 30 years. But we can definitely decide what we want to do in the next 20 or 30 years. And don't look at all these failures in life as something that is bad. Use it as a platform for your success. Life happened for certain reasons, right? And it is through significant events in our lives, and especially failures. We learn the most from failures, not from our successes, right? So from these failures that we have experienced and learned, use it as a platform for your next 20 or 30 years. Be it making better financial decisions or sharing experience. That's what I'm doing. Right? I'm sharing my experience with other people, the silly mistakes I've made, the bad things I've done, the good things that I've done, and then we share with other people. Yeah.
It's a thread that has woven through this entire conversation, and it's about the link between money and happiness, and how a lot of people put the cart before the horse. They think, if I have enough money, then I will be happy. So I want to end with this question. Chris, what makes you happy?
Yeah. When I first saw this question, right, in my preparation, I was like, it's a very good question. I've been asking people that question all the time. I've not really thought deeply about it myself. But it's actually a question I ask all the people that I interview, and that is, what is a good life? Right? And this comes from a book. It's not from me. This comes from a book called Unpacking Your Bags, from these two authors, Richard Leder and David Shapiro, and they define the good life as living at the place you belong, with the people you love, doing the right work on purpose. So I think what will make me happy is exactly that, is to live at the place that I belong. It is Singapore now, for sure. I cannot say that when I'm 60, it will be Singapore. It could be somewhere else. With the people that I love, surely my families, and hopefully some of my closer friends. Doing the right work. I've just shared with you the kind of work that I want to do. I think that really makes me happy. And on purpose. I think that in everything that I do, without this purpose guiding me, I think I wouldn't be happy. Yeah. So, these are the things that, if I'm able to do that, then I think I'll be really happy.
I always feel like I'm a little bit wiser, not just about money, but about life after a conversation
Thank you,
with you.
Michelle.
So
Very
thank you
kind.
very much for this
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank you, Michelle.
He's CEO and founder of Provident, Christopher Tan. Thank you for your time. I'm Michelle Martin.